Before you apply for a fellowship, you need to think about what's in a fellowship application and what funders are looking for. The application form is usually fairly straightforward. When it comes to fellowships, you need to cover three broad areas, what we often refer to as the 3 Ps of fellowships: project, person, and place. Altogether, the three of these give us an idea of what you're going to find in an application form. When it comes to the project, you'll need to submit a project proposal outlining things like the aims and objectives, the methods you'll use, and what you hope to achieve. You'll need to submit a budget and a plan for what you'll do and when you'll do it. And you also often have to submit a data management plan to demonstrate that your data will be managed correctly in line with both the university and the funder's guidelines. If you're proposing to work with other organisations, you may also need to submit letters of support from them too. To give the funder an understanding of you as a researcher, you often need to submit a CV, and for fellowships in particular, you're often asked to submit a professional development plan to demonstrate how you'll use the fellowship to develop your skills and experience. This is really key, as fellowships are not just about doing research, they're about developing you as a researcher. Finally, you'll need to talk about the place you want to do that research and why you've chosen it. You'll often need to get a letter of support from the department or university as a part of this to demonstrate that they support your application. I'd like to dig a little deeper here into these 3 Ps because it's not just a question of filling out each section, you need to think carefully about what funders are looking for. Now, when it comes to the project, this should be a really interesting bit for you to write, as it's the part where you write about what you want to do, why it's exciting, relevant, important, timely, and you need to make sure here that you're focusing on the research quality, its importance, why it's original, but also why it's feasible too. When it comes to you as a person, you need to think about yourself in the past, in the present, and in the future. When it comes to the past, they're going to ask about your track record, your education, your experience both in and out of academia, and your skills, your publications, and so on and so forth. People often think that track record just means publications. And while publications are no doubt important for fellowship applications, they're not the only thing you need to think about here. What other things have you done that demonstrate that you have the attributes of a research leader? Have you organised a seminar or a conference? Have you given talks? Have you done public outreach? All of this is useful information. It gives the funder an idea of who you are and where you're going. You also need to talk a little bit about why now. Why are you applying for the fellowship now? There's a need here to demonstrate that the fellowship and everything that the fellowship will allow you to do will help you to unlock the next stage of your career. With that in mind, you also need to talk about the future and your trajectory. Where do you aim to go, and how is the fellowship going to help you get there? The last section is one that I think people tend to neglect a little. With a fellowship, it's really important that you think about how you and your research fit in at the place you're applying to. So, in the context of York, does your research fit in with your department or the university's research strategy? What does York gain from having you there? And what do you gain from them too? Does York have the equipment, the people, the connections that you need to be a success and carry out your research successfully? You also need to think about the kind of support that you can get, both from the department and the university. At York, we're home to the York Fellowships Programme, which provides lots of additional support on top of that you find from your department and your faculty. And you can find more details about that in one of our other videos called Support at York. The final thing you need to remember here, though, is that the specific criteria always depend on the funder and the scheme, so always bear that in mind. Hopefully, by now you've got a good idea of what's contained in a fellowship application and what funders are looking for. So it's time now to think about the next steps that you can take to help you achieve fellowship success. The first step is to check that you're ready. Fellowships are incredibly competitive, and it's important that you have the best chance of success. You can improve your chances of success by considering whether now is the right time to apply. Before you begin any application, ask yourself, do you have a novel and innovative research idea? Do you have a competitive track record? Unfortunately, this has to include publications and evidence of leadership. This is a question that I often get asked, do I need publications? And the reality is, to be competitive, yes. Are you aware of the different schemes available to you? Have you identified a mentor if needed? But I would often say for an early career fellowship, they often ask for a mentor. It's very common. And can you make a clear argument for why a fellowship will add value to your skills, research, and career? If you're not ready, that's perfectly okay. Give yourself the time you need to develop your research idea, write publications, and get further experience both in and out of academia. My advice here is to speak to as many people as possible, both academic mentors and colleagues, and the research support team in your department. They'll be able to advise you on whether you're ready, and they can even put you in touch with previous applicants. If you think you are ready, it's time to identify the right scheme. There are a number of sources of funding available, including UK research councils, charities, industry, and the government. Many funders fund specific types of research, and it's important to find the right funder for you. You may want to consider the remit, because some fellowships have a heavy focus on public outreach or leadership, while others really emphasise the need for career development. Consider general eligibility criteria, because some fellowships require a certain number of years of postdoctoral experience. Others are only open to researchers who are within a certain number of years of completing their PhD. There are even schemes such as the Daphne Jackson Trust Fellowships, which are aimed specifically at those looking to return to research after a career break. So there really is a fellowship for everyone, but just check you really are eligible. And also consider the deadlines too. Don't assume all schemes have the same deadline, even schemes run by the same funder. And also remember that the deadlines at York are earlier than the funder's deadlines to allow for internal checks. If in doubt, read the scheme guidance and assessment criteria, as these provide lots of detailed information about what that particular funder and scheme are looking for. It's really important to pick the right scheme, as if you're not eligible, your application just won't be considered. More than that though, you need to pick the scheme that's a right fit for you. You might technically be eligible, but look at the funder's web pages, read their guidance, and speak to more experienced colleagues to find out what they're looking for. As I said before, you may be eligible, but that doesn't mean that you're necessarily a good fit, and think carefully about this. If you are ready and you know which scheme you would like to apply for, contact your prospective host department as soon as possible. Every department has its own rules and guidelines, and you should always check the web pages first to familiarise yourself with their processes. We recommend contacting your prospective host department a minimum of 3 months before the funder deadline, if possible. Many departments and fellowship schemes require early career researchers to identify a mentor. If you don't already have one, you should get in touch with a member of staff whose research interests align with your own, or who you think will offer really robust mentoring and support throughout the fellowship. It's good practice to send a brief outline of your research idea and an updated CV, as well as details of the scheme that you'd like to apply to. As soon as you have a mentor, you must contact your prospective department's research support team, as they'll provide guidance and support all the way through the application process. The final step is to identify deadlines and plan. Fellowship applications take a long time to write, and you should expect to spend a minimum of 3 months on any application, and as much as up to 12 months for larger schemes. To help you plan, make sure you're aware of the deadlines. Some schemes, such as the Leverhulme Trust Early Career Fellowships and UKRI Future Leaders Fellowships, may also require an internal selection process, which will allow us to determine which applicants are supported, and this can take place months before the funder's deadline. Always speak to your prospective host department first before you start an application, to make sure that you're aware of their processes and deadlines. Some may ask you to fill in a form or to take part in a selection process within the department, and it's always good to be aware of this. You'll need to complete your application well in advance of the funder's deadline, as I've said before, York's internal deadlines are always earlier than the funder's deadline to allow time for our internal checks. My final tip here is to treat the application like a project of its own. Make a plan, set deadlines, and make sure anyone else working with you, whether it's your mentor or research support colleagues, are aware of those deadlines too. By setting yourself clear deadlines, hopefully it means you'll avoid a stressful rush at the end before the final deadline. This video has given a brief overview of fellowship applications, from what's included in an application form to what steps you should take next. If you're interested in what support York offers for applicants, check out our video on support available at York, or Google University of York Fellowships.